NASA astronauts to and from the space station, SpaceX will also begin flying private passengers to station and beyond using Dragon.
That's right. NASA is going to be enabling up to 2 private astronaut missions to visit the space station each year, just as part of our support of a broader economy in low Earth orbit. It's just one of the many ways NASA's opening access for companies to manufacture products in microgravity, for new commercial modules in space, and to enable more people to be able to explore the stars firsthand.
And the more people out there exploring the stars, the closer we get to becoming a multiplanetary species. Earlier, we showed you a first-hand look at where you would train if you were to fly with us on board Dragon. But now, let's take a peek inside the spacecraft itself.
When we wanted to take Dragon and make it human-rated, I think we took a different approach to spaceship design than has previously been done, because we wanted this to feel like a 21st century spaceship. We wanted it to inspire another generation of astronauts. Really, everything when you look at Dragon was driven by function. We took into account everything from the placement of all the cargo supplies to the light rail on the top, doubled as a handhold. Probably one of the biggest features of Dragon are the touchscreens on the inside. We designed them not just to be very functional, but with a user experience in mind. It's very intuitive to know what we need to do at any given moment in time. When I think about comfort for the astronauts, it's really every aspect of how you could interact with the spaceship that comes to mind. We have 3 different seat sizes. We even go so far as molding the foam around the astronaut's body so that there's not any pressure points, and it's just generally a pleasurable journey to space. Dragon is a spaceship that's all about safety and reliability. We designed it to be 2-fault tolerant, which means that any 2 things could fail. So I could lose a flight computer and a thruster, and I could still bring the crew back home safely. We also added a launch escape system. If anything goes wrong on ascent, the crew can get away from Falcon and get picked up safely. I've worked on Dragon since 2012. When I see Dragon lift off, I think I'm going to feel a buildup of emotion of 8 years of working with some of the best engineers and technicians across the country that put their heart and mind into making this incredible moment happen for everybody.
Ingress has started on schedule.
We see them signing. Looks like they're signing something in there right now.
Yeah, we give them a black Sharpie to sign the White Room. It's starting a new tradition.
Yeah, we didn't do that. That's nice.
That's awesome.
It's a good tradition.
Yeah.
And while we were in the video, we saw Bob and Doug walk down the crew access arm. Leland, it's like that, futuristic look that you talked about. I mean, what did you think seeing that and how that kind of compare and contrast what that was like during shuttle?
It's really beautiful, I think. I mean, back when I was flying on shuttle, everything look at the thumbs up from Bob. He's getting excited. Just a few little photos at the end there. But it's just a totally different era. I mean, the SpaceX team is really looking to make something futuristic. It's looking like something from the George Jetsons or from other movies that you've seen on television and at the movies. And I think it's something that inspires our country and inspires our children especially to see that they want to be these astronauts. They want to study hard and be that next generation of explorers launching from Cape Canaveral in a SpaceX rocket, or working for NASA, or working for SpaceX, or any of the other companies that are trying to get off planet. And I think that this change in the way that we're doing business is going to be a really great way of getting more people to the table to fly in space.
Yeah, that was really important to us. Dragon, we see it as a 21st century spaceship. It needs to look like a 21st century spaceship. It flies like a 21st century spaceship. So of course, the ground support equipment should look like it's from the same era. The suits do. Mm-hmm. All of that sort of future-facing technology and aesthetic is super important to us. Actually, right now, you can see that duct in the hands of member number 5 there. That is an ECS duct, or Environmental Control System duct. Once this original, who just went in? Was that Doug or Bob?
think that was Doug.
Okay. Doug
That was
just climbed
Doug,
in.
yep.
That is awesome.
He's ahead of schedule. Somebody tell him to climb back
They
out.
are booking. It is great.
He's ready. He's like Leland. We were joking earlier about it. We were going to have to buckle Leland into his seat here to keep him from running out there.
Yeah, if we had stayed outside, I was going to swim across the moat and run over and get in the vehicle with Bob and Doug.
All right, now Bob's going in.
Yeah.
This is great. So the suit technicians are helping the crew climb inside. They're holding back the hatch seals to protect the seals on the hatch, but also making sure that the crew doesn't hit their head or anything on the way in. Even though they have helmets, we still don't want that to happen.
And you know, they climbed in a couple minutes earlier than we expected them to, but you know, Lauren, that, you know, SpaceX has rehearsed this over and over and over again with Bob and Doug. And, you know, and I've heard them say, you know, well, we might be a little bit ahead of schedule if we're ready. It just gives them more time to check things out, you know?
Yeah. So right now what the crew, the suit technicians are doing is they're strapping the crew's feet into these restraints that the boots sit inside of. They're then going to close those 5-point harnesses around them. I know, Leland, you talked about some of the harnessing that you had in the past with the shuttle.
Yeah, I mean, this is such a more sleek design where there's one point to plug in to get cooling, communications, and everything. And, we had a 5-point harness. We, had these hoses and things all over the place. But I think this is a much more streamlined look into the future of space travel.
And similar to what was going in the ONC building during the suit checkouts, that seat umbilical is going to connect to the right thigh of the spacesuit. There is a fluid module that is connected to the spacesuit, and that provides fresh cooling air and also nitrox for the leak checks that are going to come up later. But the audio system is also going through that umbilical. Mm-hmm. So while the crew while the suit techs are getting the crew all buckled in, they're going to perform a comm check. And that's, again, similar to what was done at the ONC building, but this time the integrated two-way communications between the astronauts and the ground crew.
And we're going to head back to Hawthorne now, as we just saw Bob and Doug ingress Crew Dragon. Dan?
Hey, thanks. Yeah, it's incredible to see them inside the capsule. If you're just now tuning in, great timing. You're watching our coverage of the mission known as Demonstration Mission 2 or Demo 2. Today, SpaceX and NASA are going to be sending people into orbit on a mission to the International Space Station for the first time from U.S. soil since 2011. Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley are those astronauts flying in Dragon. They're inside. That's Doug Hurley really close to our screen and Bob Behnken on the further seat away from us.
And they are getting ready to lift off from pad 39A, where Falcon 9 will lift off around or at 4:33 p.m. Eastern Time. They already ascended the tall structure next to the rocket, which is called the fixed service structure, and walked down the corridor known as the crew arm. And now they're already boarded inside of Dragon.
Yeah, right before they got in, we did see them pause for a moment and actually sign the wall. They were in the White Room. And the White Room is just literally that room at the end of the crew arm that has an opening into Dragon. It's the last place on planet Earth where Bob and Doug are standing before they get into Dragon for their ride to the space station.
And the term the White Room was first used during NASA Gemini missions, where the room right before entering into the spaceship was painted white. So we've continued the tradition with painting ours white as well, and also started a new tradition. If you just saw, they did sign the White Room wall, which is really, really awesome. It's a fairly small area that has room for the crew and a few ground support members to complete cargo load at T-minus 24 hours and crew ingress at T-minus 2 hours and 35 minutes. And ingress is how we refer to the crew boarding Dragon.
And inside the White Room, there's also a movable platform that just gets extended out to the capsule just in order to bridge that gap between the crew arm and the Dragon side hatch, just allowing easy entry into Dragon. And as you might expect, the entire area is environmentally controlled just so the Dragon side hatch can be kept open while we're keeping all of that dust, dirt, Florida humidity out of the capsule, making sure it's pristine for the crew. There's also a big seal that's inflated and compressed against the capsule right now just to help maintain that clean environment.
The White Room also has lots of tools in order to open the side hatch, complete crew ingress as they're doing right now, and prepare for any contingency or emergency that may be encountered.
And so as we just heard from Lauren and Marie and the team, they're getting into this capsule now. They're getting their seats connected to their suits via that umbilical. That's going to give them hardline connections into audio for their comm checks, which are going to be coming up shortly. And again, breathing gas and pressurized nitrox for those suit leak checks. So this will be the second time since getting suited up that they've done these leak checks. We're just kind of all about redundancy and constantly checking our systems as we continue to count down. But I mean, there they are. Right now, we're watching Bob and Doug getting into Dragon, getting strapped in. Before they connected their suits to the actual seats, they did something called a foreign object debris check, or a FOD check. And that just means that they actually get inspected for any substance or debris on their suit that could interfere with those systems on Dragon.
And to help protect against debris, the crew has covers on their boots as well as their umbilical port on their suits that need to be removed before they can ingress. So they've already removed those, and as you can see, they are getting strapped in. And once the FOD check is complete, our commander, Doug Hurley, entered first, and then Bob Benkin followed after him. And they're getting buckled in right now, as you can see on your screen, and attaching their umbilicals to their suits. The umbilicals allow the crew to have comms through their suit and air to help keep them cool, as well as delivers nitrox for suit pressurization. And as we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, the suit's primary function is to protect the crew in the event of a cabin depressurization.
And just walking through the interior a little bit, there are 4 seats configured inside Dragon right now. They're numbered 1 to 4 from right to left when you're looking at the seats. So we've had a couple of camera views just from the hatchway, so in the White Room. If you're looking at that angle, you go from 1 to 4 right to left. Doug Hurley is in seat 2, or the commander's seat. Bob Benkin is in seat 3, which is on Crew Dragon is the pilot seat. And then obviously nobody is in seats 1 and 4 today. Crew Dragon is designed to carry 4 astronauts on these future NASA missions, and we met 2 of the Crew 1 members and heard about their other 2 crew members a little bit earlier. Directly in front of both of our crew members today are 3 touchscreen displays that they're going to use throughout the flight, giving them insight into Dragon systems, seeing any alerts or issues with the vehicle, and if required, taking control and manually flying Dragon. We can see Doug Hurley manipulating those displays right now.
And coming up, the crew will do a comm check to make sure that they can hear mission control, and their seats will be rotated into position for launch so that they can see those display panels right in front of them. So now let's check in with John Insprucker for the latest on the health of both vehicles. Over to you, John.
We're at T-minus 2 hours, 36 minutes, 30 seconds in the countdown for the launch of Falcon 9 with Dragon to the space station. The Dragon Launch Ops team has completed their major activities to prepare the spacecraft for the astronauts. Checkouts are complete of major systems, including the escape system. And as you can see, ingress of the astronauts well underway. They're hooking their suits up to the various cabin systems. Right now on Dragon, there are no issues in work. Comm checks will be coming up shortly on the Dragon spacecraft with the crew. We might be able to hear some of that, and we'll bring it to you as it happens. Now, currently, the Falcon 9 team is preparing for their final checkouts and propellant load. Checkouts are due to begin at T-minus 2 hours. That's when the majority of the launch crew will actually get on console officially in Fire Room 4 at Kennedy Space Center. Currently on Falcon 9, all systems are go. The Air Force Range continues to report no problems with air and sea space clearance. Everything's looking good. Roadblocks are up around the launch pads. The weather forecast continues to be acceptable, but something we're going to watch all the way through. We're not only looking at weather at the launch site, but we are looking around the world. We need to make sure conditions are acceptable if Dragon has to splash down in the Atlantic in case of an escape. We're also monitoring contingency splashdown locations if the crew had to come back to Earth before docking with the space station. Right now, those conditions are getting better as we go through the day. At the launch pad, things continue to be a 60% probability of violating the conditions, or 40% chance if you're an optimist of good weather. But right now, the clock is continuing to count down. All systems are go. We're just inside T-minus 2 hours, 35 minutes.
All right, now as Bob and Doug finish their ingress procedures and get comfortable inside Dragon, we're going to continue to listen for those comm checks. They should be coming up in just a little bit. But right now,
Lockport Community Television would like to salute all of the doctors, nurses, and first responders at Lockport's Eastern Niagara Hospital for their tireless service during this unusual and historic epidemic we're currently facing. Thank you for all you're doing to keep our community safe and healthy.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Becky Whittish, Chairman of the Niagara County Legislature. Thank you for joining us live on LCTV for our Niagara County Coronavirus Update. We are also currently streaming on lctv.net and on 90.9 FM on your radio. Today, unfortunately, I do need to start our update by announcing another 4 deaths related to COVID-19 of Niagara County residents. These individuals included a 75-year-old female, a 94-year-old female, a 66-year-old female, and an 89-year-old male, all with underlying health conditions. Always the most difficult part of the updates that I need to give, of course, and our sympathies and condolences continue to go out to the families and friends of these individuals at this difficult time. And the rest of our update is as follows. We have 16 new positive cases of COVID-19 to report today, which gives us a total of 1,020 positive cases to date here in Niagara County. Now, of those, we currently have 301 active cases. That's 286 individuals who are isolating at home, with another 15 who are being isolated in the hospital. Our new announcements today brings us, unfortunately, to a total of 63 deaths in Niagara County related to COVID-19, with the good news being 656 people have recovered and are doing well. And the Niagara County heat map has been updated again today to show these new totals. You can find that on niagaracounty.com at the top of the page under the COVID-19 banner links. And again, this map will show us the breakdown of our positive cases in Niagara County. It breaks it down city by city, town by town, so that you can see what's happening throughout the county and in your neighborhood. Switching to testing for a moment, I can tell you that 11,529 Niagara County residents have now been tested for COVID-19. We find that information on the COVID-19 tracker from the state, and again, you can find a link for that on our Niagara County website as well. That map will break down the information for you county by county across the state so that you can see where we stand in relation. You might recall that we've been talking more lately about our infection rate, or the percent of positive cases that come back from all of those individuals that are now being tested here in Niagara County. And I'm happy to report that our infection rate has dropped again from yesterday from 8.6 to 8.4%. This is very important because as we've done more testing over the last month, obviously more testing is going to mean more positive cases. But it also means more negative cases. You'll remember in the beginning when we had limited testing, we were testing mostly individuals who had symptoms at the time. Our percentage for positive cases coming back, that infection rate was closer to 20%. So doing more testing, seeing that infection rate coming down is a very good sign and data that we need to give us a much truer indication of the situation here in Niagara County. So again, I will continue to remind you of all the testing facilities that we have available now in Niagara County and encourage you to go out and get tested if you would like to do so. Our most utilized testing site is the NCCC campus site that's run by the state. That number's on your screen now, 1-888-364-3065. Again, if you call that number, you'll get an intake operator who will go through some questions with you, determine your eligibility for testing, and get you an appointment set up. We know that the guidelines for testing now are very broad. Most individuals who want to be tested and feel that they have a reason to be will be approved, so don't hesitate to call. We also have a list that you'll see up on your screen of the other testing sites that are available in Niagara County now. This list is put together by our Niagara County Public Health Department. You can access that on their website. There's also a link on the county's main webpage as well. And again, all of the phone numbers are listed there for you. You'll want to call before going to that testing site. Some of the sites require prescriptions from your doctor. Most require an appointment. Some are drive-through, some are walk-in. That testing site at NCCC, just so you're aware, does not require a prescription, so that's a good option if you don't have a doctor that you can get that from at this point. And it only takes about 4 to 5 minutes to get through that drive-through process. So again, if you're wanting to be tested and you feel you have a reason to be, I encourage you to call those sites, find one that's good and convenient for you, and get yourself tested. Now, again, testing information very important to us as we look at the 7 metrics that are involved in our phased reopening process that the governor has put in place. We know that we have to have those metrics met. We did meet those. We've been in phase 1 now for about a week and looking forward to phase 2 next. So again, we have to have those numbers and show our statistics here in Niagara County as well as the Western New York region. We've said time and again that Niagara County does not open on its own. We are part of the Western New York region, and it is a regional approach to reopening, and that we reopen together as a region. But not surprisingly, what happens in Erie County, given its size and population and the density of that population, will affect our metrics overall in a region and what happens here. Yesterday, Erie County Executive Mark Poloncarz reported that hospitalizations in Erie County and Western New York hit their lowest number since April 1st. Again, very good news to hear. And we'll show you a chart on your screen now that comes from New York State. This shows our trend line, which is certainly heading in the right direction. It's been said many times. You can plainly see in this graph how quickly we shot up to the peak at the beginning phases and just how long it takes to come down the other side of that mountain. Now, showing you the regional dashboard for our metrics. Again, you can find this on forward.ny.gov. This shows you all of the metrics that we need to hit to move on, and we are doing very well. Our regional control room calls are still happening daily with all the leaders of the Western New York region and Lieutenant Governor Hochul, and everything that we are seeing and hearing is that we are doing good, our numbers are doing well, and that we are on track to move forward to phase 2 as early as next week, June 2nd. Again, we have to wait for official word from the governor to be cleared to enter phase 2, but I know many people are getting anxious and looking for that next round of businesses to reopen. So it's good to hear that we are on the right track. As a reminder, phase 2 should include professional services, retail, administrative support, and real estate. So anyone anxious to get a haircut, as am I, let's hope that we don't see any major spikes from Memorial Day weekend gatherings and that we can get right into phase 2 next week. I will, of course, continue to update you as I hear more. You can also watch forward.ny.gov. They do update that website daily with more information. Because there are regions that started phase 1 before us and will hit phase 2 before us likely, in the next few days I'm told we should see more updated information on that state website regarding phase 2 businesses and starting to see some of the guidelines for those businesses that they will need to use to reopen safely. So as we approach phase 2 in the coming weeks, again, I encourage businesses to have a plan. Make sure that you're looking at those state guidelines, that you have your safety protocols in place to keep your employees and your clientele safe as you reopen your business. Our staff at the Niagara County Center for Economic Development has put together all of those resources in one very handy location. If you go to niagaracountybusiness.com, click on their COVID-19 button that's red, you'll see that on your screen. That drop-down box will have all of the information that you'll need to safely reopen your business and follow the guidelines that the state has put out. You'll find links there for the business safety template and business affirmation form. You'll have to complete this self-affirmation form as a business before you reopen. Again, letting the state know that you've read the guidelines, you have a safe plan in place for your employees and anyone coming into your business. You'll also find links there for businesses for funding options and financial assistance, including pre-applications for the New York Forward Loan Program, which opened yesterday. Now, this is a $100 million program put out by the state, which targets the state's small businesses that have 20 or fewer full-time employees, nonprofits, and small landlords who have seen a loss of rental income during this time. Now, this program is designed to assist businesses who did not receive a loan from the federal COVID-19 programs, but it is not a first-come, first-serve program. Applications will be reviewed on a rolling basis as regions and industries reopen. So don't think that if you missed the application beginning yesterday that it's too late. You can do that at any time, and we encourage you to look at that information, again, on niagaracountybusiness.com. I'd like to give you a few updates from the governor's briefings over the weekend. I know that many people were out enjoying the weather and, maybe some small family get-togethers from Memorial Day. So I just want to give you a few key pieces of information that the governor did pass along in case you missed them. We were told that statewide, starting Monday, campgrounds and RV parks would be open. On Tuesday, all veterinary services are allowed to reopen. This was yesterday, Tuesday. And the governor also signed an executive order over the weekend that allows for non-essential gatherings of no more than 10 people as long as social distancing is adhered to, masks are worn, and all of those safety precautions are in place. You might remember that last week he opened that up to churches to allow them to have gatherings of 10 or fewer, as well as Memorial Day events, so that they could be virtually held and shown to communities. But again, executive order over the weekend allowing for all non-essential gatherings of 10 or fewer, as long as safety protocols are followed. Now, switching back to Niagara County for a moment, I want to let you know about a program being held by the Cornell Cooperative Extension of Niagara County. They're pleased to announce a free Farmers to Families food box giveaway this Friday, May 29th, that's being held out at the Niagara County Fairgrounds. This is a first-come, first-served opportunity. There are no pre-orders or deliveries available. Each box of food will contain 20 pounds of assorted produce, such as potatoes, apples, green vegetables, and so on. Distribution will begin at 10 a.m. and will end when all boxes have been handed out. Anyone is welcome to come and pick up a box. This is not limited to families with children. So if you're interested, you'll want to head over to the Niagara County Fairgrounds at 4487 Lake Avenue in Lockport, again starting at 10 a.m. on Friday. Please make sure that you properly follow those social distancing guidelines and have your masks with you. And if you want to find more information on that food handout, it is at cceniagaracounty.org, or you can visit our Niagara County Facebook page as well. I also want to continue to remind you of the Niagara County Mental Health Crisis Services line, which is available 24/7. That's free and confidential help for anyone who might be struggling at this difficult time. Their number is 716-285-3515. They are there available to listen, to help you find support that you might need at this time. So don't hesitate to call them. If you joined us late today, you can catch us on demand on lctv.net. under the Niagara County Legislature tab. They'll also replay our broadcast throughout the day as their schedule allows. So we again thank LCTV for this partnership and allowing us to get our information out to the residents, as well as a thank you to all of the other broadcast companies and media outlets who have chosen to pick up our news and get it out to the public as well. So thank you, everyone. Continue to have a good week. We look forward to the next phase of reopening, but please, for now, as much as possible, stay home, stay safe, and stay healthy.